Today, we're exploring 15 of the silliest engines that have ever been dropped into four-wheeled rides. It's one thing to modify a car with a beastly V8 or something that screams performance, but installing a tiny lawnmower engine is like trying to power your fridge with a phone charger. This has actually happened, usually by backyard tinkerers who just want to see if it's possible. The results are both hilarious and baffling, with cars barely able to move faster than a brisk walking pace. Imagine a full-size sedan creeping down the street accompanied by the hum of a push-mower motor. It's more likely to evoke chuckles than admiration. Still, there's something admirable about the sheer audacity and mechanical curiosity at play. Surprisingly, these little engines are reliable in their own right, designed to run non-stop on hot summer days. They're easy to maintain and inexpensive. On the other hand, they're completely impractical because they produce too little power to handle hills or even highways. It's silly, sure, but it also reveals a certain human quality, the desire to experiment, break norms, and laugh in the face of automotive logic. If a lawnmower engine isn't strange enough, consider the car modder who once strapped in a chainsaw engine. Chainsaws are designed for slicing through timber, not propelling 2-ton hunks of metal. Yet there have been car enthusiasts who've attempted it. The result? Something that sounds like an angry swarm of hornets trapped under the hood. The power output is minuscule, the torque is laughable, and the reliability goes out the window when you're redlining a tiny 2-stroke motor intended for quick bursts of tree cutting. Admittedly, the lightweight nature of a chainsaw engine might appeal to some daredevils who want to minimize weight for some bizarre homemade racing category. The biggest drawback is obvious: no serious performance, no long-term durability, and no practicality. It might be slightly easier to manage than a lawnmower engine because it can spin at absurdly high RPMs. But let's be honest, this is all about novelty. Seeing a modified car that's effectively chainsaw-powered creates a conversation piece. It's silly, memorable, and outright weird, which is precisely why it's so fascinating. Before we move on to the next one in the list, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It doesn't take much, but it means a lot to us. Thanks you. Believe it or not, a few fearless souls have tried dropping an outboard boat motor into a car. Instead of dealing with the typical automotive block, they've adapted something usually found hanging off the back of a fishing boat. It's a bizarre concept, a car powered by a tall, slender engine designed to push through water. On the plus side, outboard motors can be incredibly lightweight and surprisingly efficient in their natural habitat. They're also relatively simple, often 2-stroke or small 4-stroke designs. But the moment you stick it into a car's engine bay, you're dealing with a completely different environment. Air-cooled or water-cooled in ways that don't fit well with a car's layout, these motors can overheat or underperform in seconds. The torque profile is mismatched, and the power-to-weight ratio isn't favorable for pavement use. Still, there's a certain uniqueness. Even if it's utterly impractical, it shows the kind of maritime-to-automotive crossover that nobody asked for, yet someone still tried. It's a testament to human creativity and madness. At the opposite end of the spectrum, some enthusiasts have looked to the sky for inspiration, installing actual helicopter turbine engines into their cars. Think of Jay Leno's famous jet-powered EcoJet concept, or those wild attempts at cramming a retired military turbine into a custom chassis. The immediate benefit is raw, absurd horsepower. These engines can produce mind-numbing thrust, enough to blur your vision if you dare to floor it. The problem is they're notoriously challenging to control. Helicopter turbines are designed for lightweight aircraft, not street-legal vehicles stuck in traffic. They require special fuels, produce astonishing amounts of heat, and the throttle response can be unpredictable. Even if you manage to tame one enough for the road, you'll be dealing with ear-splitting noise. Still, seeing a turbine car rolling down Main Street is an unforgettable spectacle that can literally stop traffic. It's silly in the sense that it's overkill, but it's also a jaw-dropping display of engineering bravado. It's not just helicopter turbines that have found their way into cars, but also colossal ancient aircraft engines from the World War era. These engines, often monstrous, water-cooled beasts from old biplanes, produce massive displacement and torque that's way out of proportion for any typical car. The appeal is pure historical romance combined with mechanical artistry. Owners who pull off these swaps often want to showcase the raw might and craftsmanship of early aviation technology. The downside? Weight, size, and cooling demands become nightmarish. These engines can weigh more than an entire modern car's powertrain and have fuel consumption that could bankrupt you just idling in the driveway. The practicality is essentially zero, yet the visual and auditory spectacle of one of these archaic monsters roaring on four wheels can't be denied. The fact that some daredevil managed to adapt controls and mount it to a drivetrain at all is downright remarkable, if not gloriously silly. It's a piece of living history, loud, cumbersome, and utterly unnecessary, which makes it all the more intriguing. Stepping away from the old and massive, let's consider the jet ski engine. Designed for zipping around lakes and rivers, jet skis are known for their peppy performance on water. Slap one into a car, though, and you're entering a realm of pure oddity. They can rev high, produce a fun power band, and weigh very little. On the other hand, they're meant for aquatic cooling conditions and direct drive to an impeller in water, not a gearbox linked to wheels on asphalt. You'd have to get extremely creative just to make it function. Even then, the power delivered might feel lackluster once the novelty wears off. Yet the idea of a jet ski car is so ridiculous, it almost demands respect. It's a conversation piece at every car meet. That's part of the appeal, being the person with the strangest build on the block. And for some folks, uniqueness matters more than outright performance or practicality. Similar to jet skis, snowmobiles rely on compact two-stroke engines that deliver a snappy, high-revving punch in cold environments. Dropping a snowmobile engine into a car is silly for so many reasons. For starters, snowmobiles are tuned for snowy conditions and direct belt drives, not transmissions and paved roads. Still, there have been enthusiasts who have done it, delighting in the engine's signature raspy growl and nimble throttle response. The downsides are glaring. Two-stroke engines aren't exactly emissions-friendly, nor are they known for longevity under constant highway loads. Cooling and lubrication become complicated headaches. And let's face it, the power levels, while fun on snow and ice, might feel underwhelming pushing a heavier car. Yet as a piece of mechanical experimentation, it's fascinating. It shows how humans love to bend machines to their will, even if it makes no sense. The sheer silliness is what makes it interesting, and occasionally you might end up with a truly unique weekend toy. A Stirling engine is a quiet, external combustion engine known for its efficiency and smooth operation. That doesn't mean it belongs in a car, though that hasn't stopped some dreamers from trying. A Stirling engine in a car might sound like a green innovation because they can theoretically run on many heat sources. But here's the problem. Stirling engines produce modest torque, respond slowly to changes in load, and are more suitable for stationary power generation than hurtling down highways. While a Stirling engine is efficient and whisper quiet, it takes ages to get up to speed, and the performance would be laughable compared to even the smallest automotive engines. It's silly because the fundamental dynamics of a car, stop-and-go traffic, sudden accelerations, climbing hills, don't match the gentle, consistent hum of a Stirling cycle. Still, the idea is intriguing, suggesting a world where you could power a car on just about any heat source. It's more fantasy than reality, but that never stopped tinkerers from giving it a whirl. Before the internal combustion engine ruled the roads, steam engines were the kings of mechanical power. Some modern enthusiasts have tried resurrecting steam power for automobiles, creating cars that puff out gentle clouds of vapor. As a concept, steam cars actually worked well in the early 1900s, but reintroducing them today is largely a curiosity. Steam engines are quiet, can produce decent torque, and have a certain romantic charm. But in a modern context, they're clunky, slow to start, and need considerable time to build pressure. Fuel efficiency isn't ideal once you factor in the energy needed to produce steam. Modders who go this route often do it for nostalgia or to stand out at classic car shows. It's silly because we have far better options now, yet it's also a demonstration of how old technology can still capture imaginations. Steam power might never reclaim its throne on the highway, but its presence in a custom car is nothing short of remarkable, albeit totally impractical. In dire times, people have turned to wood gasification for fuel. Cars in wartime Europe sometimes ran on wood gas because gasoline was scarce. Some modern hobbyists have revisited that concept, strapping bulky gasifier units to their trunks and fueling their engines with nothing but lumber scraps. While not inherently silly in historical context, using wood gas today seems downright absurd. It's a painfully slow process to get going, requiring you to build a fire that produces a combustible gas. Maintenance is a nightmare, and the performance is lackluster at best. Yet there's a quirky satisfaction in knowing you can run your car on twigs and pine cones if civilization crumbled tomorrow. This ridiculousness makes it interesting because it reveals a fringe world of enthusiasts who value independence and ingenuity over convenience. There's a strange pride in pulling into a meet and saying, "Yeah, my car runs on wood." It's silly and brilliant in equal measure. Radial aircraft engines, with their distinctive circular arrangement of cylinders, are mechanical marvels meant for propeller-driven planes. Someone, somewhere, decided to cram one of these bulky beasts into a car. The upside is you get a visually stunning piece of machinery that sounds and looks like nothing else on the road. The roar, the vibration, and the visual spectacle of those exposed cylinders can leave onlookers speechless. The drawbacks are monumental, starting with the fact that these engines are massive, heavy, and notoriously tricky to maintain. They produce gobs of torque, but in a manner ill-suited to a standard automotive drivetrain. Fuel economy and emissions are dreadful. And just think about the cooling issues when this engine is no longer slicing through cool, thin air at altitude. Still, the idea that someone managed to pull off such a feat is endlessly fascinating. It's an engineering puzzle solved purely for the joy of it, even if the result belongs more in a museum than on a freeway. In a world fascinated by electric cars, some tinkerers have tried to repurpose small electric motors from unexpected household devices. Picture a converted car powered by what amounts to a big desk fan motor. Completely absurd, right? Yet the simplicity of an electric motor appeals. No complicated fuel system, fewer moving parts, and instant torque if you have a motor designed for that. Unfortunately, a tiny household motor offers pitiful torque and barely any usable speed. The car would barely crawl, draining any battery source in no time. Still, the thought of using a humble electric motor from a fan or a blender to power a car sparks the imagination. Could we one day scale up these simple, ubiquitous motors into something practical? Probably not in this manner. The sheer silliness makes it a fun thought experiment, and occasionally some ambitious soul attempts it. The result isn't a daily driver, but it's a conversation piece that prods us to rethink what propulsion can mean. Garden tractor diesels are rugged, low RPM workhorses. They are perfect for tilling fields and pulling small wagons of produce. In a car, though, they're slow and generate about as much excitement as watching paint dry. Some folks, especially in rural areas, have tried installing a garden tractor diesel in their old pickup or compact sedan. The benefit is fuel efficiency and a sort of indestructible reliability. If it can survive the abuse in a tractor, it can run forever in a car, right? Sure, but at the cost of performance and acceleration. The car would struggle to merge onto highways, and the top speed might be laughable. Still, it's interesting because it highlights that not all engine swaps are about speed. Some aim for practicality and longevity. While silly in a world where hybrid and modern diesel engines exist, it's a testament to human stubbornness and resourcefulness. It might not win any races, but it could run for decades, albeit at a snail's pace. One of the strangest modifications involves not just one silly engine, but multiple small engines cobbled together. Imagine a patchwork of mismatched lawnmower, scooter, and chainsaw engines all connected through a homemade gearbox. It's the ultimate backyard mad scientist project. The benefit, if any, is that you might combine the power of multiple tiny motors to get something halfway usable. But good luck synchronizing them, managing their collective heat, or even keeping them running at the same speed. This Frankenstein approach often results in a noisy, vibrating mess that's more a testament to human ingenuity than a feasible transportation solution. It's silly because it represents the opposite of elegant engineering. Yet it's fascinating because it's pure creativity, showing how far some will go to break the mold. It's a rolling conversation piece, the kind of thing you'd see at a bizarre car festival and never forget. In a world striving for aerodynamic efficiency and electric perfection, this multi-engine monstrosity sticks out like a sore thumb, and maybe that's the point. Finally, let's talk about car enthusiasts who have tried using tiny model jet engines. Yes, the kind originally designed for model airplanes. These microturbines are marvels of engineering in miniature, producing a high-pitched whine and a surprising amount of thrust for their size. In a car, though, thrust doesn't translate straightforwardly to wheel rotation. Builders have had to get cunning, sometimes using these jets to charge batteries or run compressors that feed another system. The result is complicated, inefficient, and totally impractical. Still, the sheer absurdity of using model-scale jet propulsion in a full-size car is mesmerizing. It reveals how tinkerers will go to extreme lengths to stand out and experiment. The benefit is bragging rights. The drawback is everything else: cost, complexity, poor drivability. Yet there's something undeniably cool about it, as if you're witnessing a science fair project taken to the extreme. It's silly, sure, but it's also a testament to human curiosity and the urge to do something no one else has tried. We've just journeyed through 15 of the silliest engines ever used to modify cars. It's a testament to human creativity, stubbornness, and outright lunacy. While most of these experiments won't solve any transportation problems, they remind us that cars aren't just machines. They're platforms for imagination. If you enjoy this wild ride through strange propulsion ideas, there's more automotive madness on the horizon. Hit that subscribe button to keep exploring the weird, wonderful, and sometimes downright ridiculous world of motoring. Join our community, stay curious, and let's keep celebrating those who dare to test the limits of what's possible.